Well, welcome to the Middlesex Moments radio show. I'm Dr. Anna Wasesha, president of Middlesex Community College, and today I'm really delighted to have Gail Coppage here with me. So welcome, Gail.
Thank you.
Gail is the Director of Innovation and Outreach. All right, so what does that mean? and Director of Innovation and Outreach for the Connecticut State Colleges and Universities, I should say, so
yes.
we can at least root it in an organization.
Thank you, and the Board of Regents for Higher Education. So I work across the system of 17 institutions, the 12 community colleges, the 4 state universities, and Charter Oak State College, which is a fully online college, to help bring new, stimulating, exciting initiatives across the system. And I try to do system-level work to help raise up opportunities for students, because at the end of the day, it's all about student success.
Did you think you'd be doing this kind of work 20 years ago?
No, just like everyone else. So for all those students out there listening, I received a degree in music education. So I was a music teacher many years ago and just had a very interesting route in change in my life and started to do economic development and did economic development on the local level and then on the state level, and then got involved with higher education, which is a very interesting place to be. So I have a lot of different hats that I wear simultaneously. But the good news is all the training I received when I was in music education, remember, musicians think out of the right side of their brain, right? So they're very creative. And so this is a great opportunity for me because I get to be very creative in this work within higher education.
Mm-hmm. Were you an instrument person? Did you play
No, voice was my major. Yes, so I was a big choral conductor, instructor, sang in the church choir, ran a number of church-related groups, and did a lot of singing and did a lot of solo work, and not so much anymore.
When you retire, will you come here and run a choral? I thought it was called chorale, but you call it choral.
Oh yes, so choral teacher, right? Yes, I might consider that.
That would
now
be
that we
great.
have everyone else has listened to that. Sure.
And we don't have anything like that, and I think
you don't?
Yeah, and I wish we did. So you know where we are here in Middletown.
Yes.
And with luck, we'll have a new building. And inside that new building, there will be a black box theater. Yay. And I've said every time the discussion comes up, it has to be acoustically equipped so that we can have some local music. We have that, No college education is complete without that.
That's right. Well, that's a whole other side to have this sensitive aspect of a lot of students today are not just reading and doing their work. They're doing that. They're listening to music. They're doing something on their computer, they're doing something on their smartphone, so they're learning how to juggle all these other extra sensory options. But having something here would be a wonderful thing down the road, so we'll have to talk about it.
We'll talk about it. All right, so we're going to take a break, and when we come back, let's talk about innovations at the system, and especially, I think, the innovations that affect this college. That would be great. Well, welcome back to Middlesex Moments. We're talking with Gail Coppage today about innovations, and now I would really like to talk about the innovation that's happening at the Connecticut State College and University system, because it's really quite remarkable. So, and you spend your probably 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, thinking about it.
Yes.
So what do you, in your mind, are the highlights? What's the most innovative thing you've done in the last year?
Oh, we have so many innovative things. I almost sound like I'm at a bakery and I'm trying to sell you a muffin or a cupcake or something. We are doing amazing things across the system. And some of the things you're also very familiar with, such as the new Media Studies program with monies that came through the U.S. Department of Labor, $2.5 million, fabulous. It's wonderful to be able to have an influx of new resources to a system and to specific community colleges to help support the need at the community college level. This is a perfect opportunity for that. There was also a great grant we received from the U.S. Department of Labor, the Health and Life Sciences grant, that's happening on a number of campuses across the state of Connecticut, including Middlesex, which is great. It's being led by Norwalk Community College and the staff there. And it's really to help grow the biotech industry, the types of jobs that are needed. Not just 4-year jobs, we're talking about 2-year technician jobs and other lab-related jobs to deal with the influx of biotechnology interest in the state. It's happening at the venture capital level. I sit on the board of Connecticut Innovations, and we're always voting on new monies and new resources to new and emerging companies. And biotechnology is one of the larger companies, healthcare companies, or other companies that we're also finding have an interest in moving to Connecticut. And we wanted to make sure that with the Jackson Labs expansion in Farmington and the ability to actually grow that type of industry, there are ancillary industries that pop up out of that. So there are all these other indirect industries. And we believe that we can better position our community college students by having similar programs in place or related programs that lead to an industry recognized credential and full-time employment. And then we have our students remaining in Connecticut instead of going somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just started a veterinary technology program last year, and
Yes.
the person who is coordinating it made me realize in talking with him how much business is actually, and science, of course, is associated with the pet industry, if you think of it as an industry. I mean, Americans spend a huge amount of money on their animals. And he had done quite a lot of work with pet food companies, and there's a science to that, but there's a testing of it, and, and then, of course, a great deal of money to be made, both in the marketing of it and, advertising and
That's exactly right. And being a pet lover myself, right, having a dog and spending money on her. We also see that the jobs out there are changing, and we can't sit back in academia and just assume that we have all the answers of the types of education and training that need to happen. We need to be very closely aligned with industry and be very collaborative with industry to make sure that we're actually training students to go into jobs that exist. And that's the big thing. So with Jackson Labs coming on board to Connecticut and seeing what's out there, we want to make sure that we're helping to educate and train students not only to go to complete an associate's degree or a credit certificate program with an industry recognized credential, but to be able to move into a 4-year degree program, maybe hopefully at one of our 4 Connecticut State universities, and then be able to move on in that field of research and then help to grow the role of research in the state of Connecticut.
so that's one of the big trends in higher education in general that really makes a lot of sense to me, which is laddering these credentials so that you don't lose ground by moving up. Actually, everything fits into a larger package, and ultimately students might go all the way to the PhD with that, having started out in a 2-year program.
That's right. And I think it's one of our roles to make sure that students have an understanding of the types of jobs that are out there, the types of roles that are available for them, the education that they need to make that happen, and that it's just like in industry. Industry is continuous improvement, and higher education has to be continuous improvement too. So now you have first graders that are playing with their iPads and playing with their smartphones, and they're a heck of a lot more advanced than others of us. And so where are they going to be by the time they're enrolled in higher education, right? How much different will the landscape look? So we need to be always thinking ahead and figuring out what we need to do to make our students most successful.
So thinking ahead and looking out into the future, what is Connecticut going to be doing 10 years from now, do you think? The whole state, the whole economy, in 3 words or less. Now, I'm actually somewhat serious
pressure.
about that because things have changed. You're right. They've changed so dramatically. I was at a conference in Washington, D.C. in January, and there was an economist from Harvard who said, if someone asks you what are the skills that a student needs in the workforce in the future, the answer is simple. It's anything a computer can't do. But there's really kind of actually terrifying in a way, but it's true because as you think about your everyday life, you used to go to video stores to rent movies, and then you could go to the Red Box, and now you can just stream it online. So all those jobs have essentially been eliminated.
Exactly.
Or there's also this gulf between the minimum wage jobs and then the high-paying jobs. So I wonder as people look out to we have biotechnology as one of the emerging fields, and then manufacturing, right?
Advanced manufacturing,
Right.
which now has a whole component called additive manufacturing. And for those of you who know all about 3D printers, at some point those are going to change the lives probably of all of us, that we'll all probably have a little 3D printer sitting in our kitchen on our counter, and when we're missing a part of something, we're going to be able to just produce it on the 3D printer and off we go. So that will change the shape and the flavor of industry. They talk about the millennial students changing the way we do business. They have an understanding that everything should be open 24/7.
Yes.
So if they email their professor at 3 a.m, they can't understand why 4 a.m. they still don't have a reply. So we understand that. So our students are helping to drive changes in industry, which I think is a wonderful thing. And we need to be able to embrace it and be welcome to that. So yes, biotechnology, I think anything in technology is going to be huge. And I think students are going to have a number of skills. They're going to have to be able to read and write and comprehend and in the wildest way. They're going to have to have strong listening skills. They're going to be able to do not only technology, but take math and English and all the other pieces and the sciences together, because the jobs are all going to change. So even as a college president, your job isn't set in stone. There are so many other aspects of what your job entails that maybe 20 years ago was totally different.
Right.
It's the same thing. So, we want to see advanced manufacturing continue to grow in Connecticut. We think that that's important. But, Connecticut's long been an entrepreneurial state. We have a significant thousands of patents that are filed every year just from people in Connecticut, whether they're research scientists at a university, whether they're individuals that work for Pratt & Whitney or UTC. So you have a lot of really incredible minds that are constantly thinking of new ways to do things. And Connecticut needs to make sure that we harness all those new ways of doing things in a better approach that leads to a stronger economy. And that's where we're going. But, government is also an industry, and education is also an industry, and those areas also need to be changed to be able to grow with all the changes in the world. And that, coupled with the global aspect of what we do, perfect example, we just created a USChina Center. It was housed formerly at the Central Connecticut State University based in New Britain. And there was real interest on the part of both the governor and the governor's office and the legislators to say, let's not hide this here. Let's grow this across the system. Let's see what we can do with this. So we actually took the U.S.China Center and said, let's put it under the umbrella of the Board of Regents for Higher Education. I'll help to advise. We'll create a steering committee, and we'll look at a global aspect of how do we bring students from China to our system? How do we help our students get to do exchanges with China? How do we do faculty exchanges? How do we grow business in Connecticut that have an interest in doing business in China? And how do we bring Chinese companies to have an interest in doing business in Connecticut? So that's the other piece about where are we 10 or 20 years from now? Everything has to be global, and we're going to have a much bigger eye to the opportunity on the international level.
I'm incredibly intrigued by that. And then my first thought is actually we need to be teaching Chinese and also probably Arabic. There's interest in foreign languages really fallen off, and it's very helpful to learn a language so that because it's a window into the culture.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Then you're better positioning your students that are much more capable, because now they're going to a job opportunity and they have all these other skills, including an additional language.
Right.
So it's much more beneficial to the student to be able to have them be much more well-rounded.
Has the U.S.China Center been around for a while? I mean, what has it done to the state?
It's been around for several years, and there is actually a Confucius Institute that is housed at Central Connecticut State University, and that's a very prestigious institute that's not housed in many places across the United States. But I think that, like everything has a level of priority, everything has a certain level of funding. And you have to look and say, well, we can't fund everything, we can't do everything, so where are the most important priorities? And I think this opportunity for the BOR to take this on in cooperation with, I may say, a very collaborative partnership with the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development, so a shout out to them. They agreed to collaborate in resources and people to help support this effort so that it wasn't the BOR doing this alone, that we were going to move this for a period of a year and really try to make strong headway and make several significant initiatives happen across the system if possible.
I'm very happy to hear that. But I'm very sad to report that we have to take a break. I'm sorry, WLIS, WMRD, but we will take a break, and then when we come back, we'll talk some more about Well, welcome back to the Middlesex Moments radio show. Today, I'm with Gail Coppage, and Gail is the Director of Innovation and Outreach at the Connecticut State Colleges and Universities, part of the Board of Regents for Higher Education.
Yes.
It's an awfully long title.
Yes.
Yeah. With this, with this whole concept of innovation, which is so robust and, it can go in almost any direction. But there are these directions that you have been going. So let's talk about that and stop for a moment and let's talk about manufacturing.
Yes.
I have to say, Middlesex Community College has a manufacturing program.
Yes.
It's located in Meriden and started out, 5 or 6 or 7 years ago with just a few students, a handful. And this year there are 50 students in that program.
Which is great.
And the program coordinator reports that he gets calls all the time from employers. Mm-hmm. And he wishes he had more students that he could refer to employment because there's just so many jobs available, which is, it's really
Wonderful.
nice to have that kind of news. experiencing a very slow recovery from the recession. So what's going on in manufacturing in the state of Connecticut at the other schools, and at our school too?
So right,
you tell me.
Yes, so this is very exciting, and we feel this is very innovative, and we actually won a National Innovation Award. So I won't forget to say that. A few years ago, back in 2011, there was a jobs bill legislation that talked about increasing the number of manufacturing jobs in Connecticut. And to do that, the legislature and Governor Malloy wanted to provide funding and resources to create 3 additional advanced manufacturing centers across the system of community colleges. We went through an RFP process for the colleges to apply. We ended up with 3 new centers, one at Housatonic in Bridgeport, one at Naugatuck Valley in Waterbury, and one at Quinebaug Valley in Danielson, the quiet corner. Not too quiet with the Advanced Manufacturing Center. And these centers were all replicated on an existing successful program at Asnuntuck Community College in Enfield, which, by the way, your program is based on that replicated program. Mm-hmm. And we had to do it in under 6 months. And we also did it under budget, which for those of us in academia, that's a really big thing to get something up and running in such a quick period of time. But we had the model program ready to go. So we created the program, we found the instructors, we created a statewide committee called the Statewide Advanced Manufacturing Advisory Committee, affectionately known as SAMIC. And we have industry representatives from the New Haven Manufacturers Association, the Connecticut Center for Advanced Technology, Connecticut Business and Industry Association, Department of Economic and Community Development, Connecticut Department of Labor, Workforce Investment Boards, industry presidents. You just name it, went down the line, and I'm sorry if I missed anyone. Mm-hmm. And the number still grows because we feel that this is a very strong team effort to help support the work that's happening on the ground every day. And the difference about this method versus others that might happen in higher ed is you have a real-time approach to the issues and the challenges that are happening on the ground. So the first year we were in operation, we created a 2-semester credit certificate program. You receive a level 1 certificate at the end of the fall semester and a level 2 certificate at the end of the spring semester. Well, industry was saying, well, we don't want to hire someone at the end of the first semester. We think they need the entire year before we feel they're ready to go. So we said, well, this falls under continuous improvement and innovation. We said, then we need to change that and make that a 1-year certificate program because we're here to meet the need. We want our students to find jobs, good paying jobs where they can live, work, and play in Connecticut. And we want to do the right thing. So while it's early on, we need to do this now. So we love the members of the SAMIC committee. We also added the academic deans at the 4 institutions. We thought that was important. And we're continuing to expand. We're actually bringing Hubert from your Middlesex manufacturing program to our next session of SAMIC, because there is a manufacturing program here, even though it hasn't been keenly identified as of yet as an advanced manufacturing center. And we're also bringing someone from Manchester Community College who has a non-credit manufacturing center program. So that's big for us. Now back to our Innovation Award. Last year in 2013, we received the Society for College and University Planners, SCUP, Integration and Innovation Award. And they called the Advanced Manufacturing Center a model program that could really be called an American success story. And that was something that higher ed should really look at across all its system of other types of industry-led programs, because it was a standardized program where the key foundation between 75 and 85% of the program all exactly the same. So when you receive a credit certificate from one institution, Housatonic, and you receive another one from Quinebaug Valley, even though they're many miles apart, the industry knew that they were still getting the same level of credential. We're now looking to incorporate other industry recognized credentials into this program. We wanted to get the program up and running, and now this falls under the continuous improvement and innovation that we want to now incorporate industry recognized credentials. So you're not just leaving with just the credit certificate, but also an industry recognized credential. We also believe that we need to be incredibly innovative with our technical high school system. And I have worked very closely with Dr. Nivea Torres, whom I adore. She listens to this program. because she gets it. She understands the need to create all the collaboration and make sure that all the strings attach, and that many of our technical high school graduates will end up coming to one of our community colleges and or one of our universities. So we want to make sure that we do everything we can to help support their effort while they're still in high school, have a system-to-system articulation effort, find whatever we can do. Can we utilize their schools when the school isn't in session, because they have some incredible manufacturing centers now? Are there other things that we can do that we can provide college credit to technical high school students while they're in high school, so they're better prepped and ready to go and actually don't have to come into the first semester, that maybe they can move into the second semester? And that's what we're looking at with manufacturing.
Oh, good.
And those are wonderful things, and they are a great state partner.
Thank you. The clock is always ticking so quickly. So that's manufacturing. And I also want to be sure we leave time to talk about free courses that are available from the Connecticut State College and University system and student success. So probably, if I had a reliable clock, I probably have 4 minutes. So let's.
All right, I'll try. Okay, so I'll try to talk fast, but not so fast people don't understand. One last item on two last item on the advanced manufacturing centers. We just worked with the Connecticut Department of Labor in an apprenticeship program, and it's a brand new collaboration which will retroactively certify 574 hours of related instruction at the advanced manufacturing centers toward an apprenticeship model. So that's a great avenue for businesses and industries in Connecticut. And we also are very involved with a national initiative called the Dream It, Do It campaign. And we work at it with the state of Connecticut and the Connecticut Center for Advanced Technology to help grow interest and awareness in advanced manufacturing jobs in Connecticut. And that's also key. We do offer 2 free online courses. One is an introduction to manufacturing, and the second is an introduction to natural gas distribution, because you're going to be, when you talk about what's happening, the wave of the future, having more people invested in gas distribution is going to be very big in Connecticut, and we wanted to be able to jump on that bandwagon and be proactive. So we've created 2 of these online courses. They're free courses, and they're really introductory courses to see whether or not you as an individual might have an interest in one of these courses.
So how would somebody find out about that? I want to be sure we get that information out.
So you can go to our website, ct.edu/academics/online.
Okay. All right. That would be very helpful.
So that's fabulous.
Yeah.
And
because that gas piece is energy, and energy is going to be an enormous
Absolutely.
field.
And
right?
we're actually looking at new initiatives to actually support and find new resources to help support that particular industry for education and training.
Great.
So that's big. And then the last piece was something I'm very excited about. I'm actually very excited about everything that I do, which is a great thing. But we just recently received funding from the Kresge Foundation, and this was a really big thing for the Board of Regents and for all the universities, and especially for the community colleges. We were one of 3 states in the nation, Connecticut, California, and New Jersey, to receive a $500,000 Kresge Foundation grant to create a student success center. And we'll have one person in place at the system level, at the BOR. I'll help to advise that role, and they will work across the 12 community colleges to better support student success across a systematized level. So we'll take best practices and we'll make sure everyone has the opportunity to have the best practices. We'll do professional development training. We'll bring in guest speakers to talk about what's the new wave, what's happening, what's successful in other places in the state. We'll grow the relationships with our other states, all in the matter of how do we best support student success. Very, very excited about that. That's the best thing ever. That's like the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it is good news. Because really we need to put the students first, and that's the whole the
Exactly.
concept of this.
That's exactly right.
And to go back to continuous improvement, there are ways in which colleges and universities have been somewhat stodgy and slow to change, and so it's nice to break down those barriers.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, okay. I'll say it.
Okay.
Because I think of myself as an historian of American higher education, so I can
Good.
shelter myself behind the sort of the ivory tower of having read a lot about it. But if you don't take into account the signals that the environment is sending you, you miss that information at your own peril.
That's correct. And it's
Yeah.
the same with online education.
Exactly.
It's not going away.
Yes.
And there will be new enhancements to online education.
Oh, and the technology, I'm actually a big fan of online education. The technology will just completely blow people's minds. So it won't be words on a screen. It will be video and audio and all kinds
Exactly.
of things that you couldn't possibly do in a classroom.
That's
so there are
right.
ways in which it will be better.
And we are doing something called boosters. They're really going to be mobile apps for the Health and Life Sciences grant. So when you're a student, if you're traveling by bus or you're in a car with someone, you're going to be able to very quickly hook up your mobile app and be able to do some of that math and science work so you're better prepared for the classroom. And we've got to do that now.
Right. Well, so one thing I would say, because we have to close this program down, sorry about that, is that if you're into innovation, you also have to be a speed talker. And you're such a wonderful speed talker. So thanks for getting all this huge amount of information, which some people might have slowly drawled out over an hour-long radio program, into this little short half-hour program on WLIS WMRD.
Anytime.
Gail Coppage, thanks for being my guest today.
Thank you.
Anybody in the listening audience who would like to find out more about our beautiful community college here in Middletown, Connecticut, you can find us online at mxcc.edu. I'm Anna Wasesha, president of Middlesex Community College, wishing you a good day.
Take care.